Hey there, how's it going, everyone? Hope you're doing well, and we are back for another Monster Mania review. Today, we are talking about a movie that is not as well known as it should be. It has a very big cult following, but there's a lot of people out there that don't know about this movie, so I'm hoping that maybe this review will bring some awareness to you and introduce you to a very good horror movie from the 80s, and that is none other than The Gate. So as always, I'm going to be as non-spoiler as I possibly can up front. That way, in case you haven't seen it, nothing is ruined for you. Give you my rating, and then after the fact, we will get into some of the spoilers. When Al and Glenn's parents leave town for the weekend, Al uses the opportunity to throw a party while little brother Glenn and his friend Terry decide to explore a hole left by a tree removal service in the backyard. When unexplainable phenomenon begin occurring, Terry, with the help of his extensive heavy metal music collection, comes to the conclusion that he and Glenn have accidentally opened a gateway to hell. This was one of those movies from when I was a kid that really creeped me out and honestly scared me. And not because it was like heavily gory in any way, shape, or form. It's not rated R, it's only PG-13, and I don't even think there was anyone really murdered or killed in this. There's nothing like that. But it's creepy. And when you watch the movie or you see the trailer, you'll understand why. We're talking about basically the gates of hell being opened and demons coming out and all kinds of craziness happening. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on in this movie that can really send some chills down your spine. So the main character of the movie, the one that you're following the most, is 12-year-old Glenn, and he is played by Stephen Dorff. And I'm sure if you've seen him before as an adult, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. This is his first role ever, which I thought was a pretty cool factoid to throw in there. But this movie is great. Like I said, two kids, typical 80s kind of scene. They're left home for the weekend, and they discover that the gates of hell are in their backyard. And as you would expect, all kinds of crazy things start to happen. The cool thing about this movie, honestly, is the practical effects. Yes, they are dated as of now. There's a couple scenes in there that you'll literally laugh at. But the practical effects and the animation, the claymation stuff that they add into this movie, honestly, still holds up to this day, I think, fairly well. If I had to rate this movie, I would probably give it a 7 out of 10. And honestly, because of the practical effects, I think, were brilliant, especially for the time period that we're talking about. And the story was really well written. It was very creative what they did and how they kept the story going. You really get invested in the characters, you see character growth, and you're rooting for them. And like I said, this movie can genuinely creep you out and scare you, especially if you were a kid. It's just a cool little gem from the 80s that if you've never seen it before, I definitely recommend. And the younger you are, I think you will really appreciate the creep factor. As you get older, you really appreciate the film for what it is because of what they were able to do back then. And with such a low budget, you can't really go wrong with The Gate. So getting into some of the spoilers, I just want to touch on some of the parts of this movie that I genuinely enjoyed the most. We could talk about the whole freaking movie because I did enjoy the whole movie, but there are definitely some standout parts that I have to discuss. One thing that I really liked and how they kind of figured out what was going on was when Terry introduced Glenn to the band and that record that basically he's talked about what is going on in their backyard, how they play the record backwards and you hear this message being told.
What's this? It's the album. Backwards.
That's something that we've always heard as a kid that records actually did, where you play it backwards and it tells you some kind of message. So I always thought that was really cool. Maybe others won't find it as fascinating, but to me, to implement that into the movie and then within the record, as you could see when they open up the pamphlets and they're talking about the demons and the gates, and basically the message is how to close the gate. I just thought that was really interesting and unique and something I've never seen before. So I thought that was really awesome how they tied that rock metal music in there, because usually rock metal music is like hailing Satan, whereas this is trying to defeat Satan in hell. So I thought that was pretty cool. The other moments that I want to point out are near the end of the movie. Obviously, after the gate opens and we see those little demons running around, right? Those things are awesome. Just the look of them, like I said, they're not really scary, but they're awesome nonetheless. When we see that zombie kind of guy fall over and then kind of explodes into all those other little demons. I thought that was an awesome effect that they did. When the zombie guy came out of the wall and took Terry and took Al, and we see Terry come back as kind of like this possessed creature, and Glenn stabs him in the eye with a freaking Barbie like that. Oh my God, that still to this day kind of freaks me out. It was so gross. The eye that pops up in Glenn's hand, right? Like all these cool little moments. The way Al is loading the shotgun and that zombie creature's kind of coming after them. It really puts you on the edge of your seat. And like I said, for a movie from '87, that does a good job and it holds up to this day. So the last scene of this movie, or the last act rather, is really where things get crazy and wild. And there's a lot of those scenes that just have always stood out to me from when I was a kid that still hold true to this day and do a really good job. Let me know down in the comments below if this is a movie that you have ever heard or seen before. Like I said, it's a cult classic at this point, but there's still a lot of people out there that have never heard about this movie or seen it. So I'm interested to see how many people have actually watched this movie. Also, if you have seen the movie, let me know in the comments what are some of your favorite moments and parts, because again, I'm always interested to see what you guys think and how you feel about this stuff. But thank you again, as always, for checking out the video reviews. I greatly appreciate it. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, share, all that fun stuff. I would greatly appreciate that. And until next time, take care.